Greetings, RC model geeks, and here we are in the shed yet again for part 1 of the Sarik Hobbies de Havilland, Canada Chipmunk build. So I thought today we would start with the rudder, something nice and simple, break ourselves in gently. So it's made up of a centre core that you can see here, and then some ribs stuck on it and a little back piece there, and that's on either side, and then there's some sheet that gets stuck on the top, as you can see from over here. So that is what I am going to attempt to build. I say attempt to build because I'm actually waiting for a few more things to turn up, like a strip wood cutter and things like that. So yeah, we might be slightly at a disadvantage today because I haven't got some of the tools required, because a lot of the wood that's supplied with this kit is just plain sheet and you have to cut your own strips out of it. And I could do that with a knife, yeah, but it'd be much easier with a strip wood cutter. It'd be much more accurate as well. So I'm going to find the parts. Most of these parts are laser cut. The ribs are laser cut. That back, well, that centre sheet is laser cut. I think these tops are laser cut. The only bits that aren't will be down here, and probably this front section. See, it's from a quarter sheet. So I'm going to find those bits and we'll see where we are. Like I said, we might not get much done today. We'll just have to see what happens. So here is the sheet for the centre core, and we've just got to cut out the little bits that haven't been laser cut so we can free it from the piece of wood. So let's give that a go. Now, I haven't got my glasses on, and I'm thinking, oh, I wish I'd got my glasses now. There you go. So that is the first part cut out. And then we've got the other top part which goes onto that, which is probably that bit. There you go. So we need to cut that out. There it is. And there is the basics of the centre core of the rudder. Now there are a couple more bits, which are these. I'm just going to look through and see if they are also laser cut. Hopefully they are, but we'll have a look through and see if they're in there. So I've searched high and low for this part. So it's not included in the laser cut parts. There's actually two of these, one that side, one that side. So if you're playing along at home and building this, you will be cutting that out of the supplied sheet balsa. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to glue this part together along there. Now I'm going to use super glue for this, my good old favourite stuff here, which is the Everbuild. If you saw the Storch build, that is what I used, and I think you'll see from the contact with the ground that this stuff works really well. So we're going to glue that together, and then we're going to use this as the template to make that, or two of those. So I'm going to get this bit glued together, and then we'll get on to cutting out those two bits of sheeting for here. So I'm protecting my my workbench with some plastic sheeting. It's very thin plastic sheeting. It also stops the bits you're gluing sticking to your workbench. So for this part, we don't need to build this part over the plan. We're just going to line everything up. It's all laser cut, it's going to slot together perfectly. We're just going to line it up, and then we're going to run super glue into the joint. Just like that. Making sure that both parts are level. And that is one part glued together. I just give it a quick wipe over, get rid of any excess. Feels good to me. So that is ready to go, ready for the next bit. Now, like I said, we've got to make these two balsa sheets that go either side of this this central core. So I'm going to use this now it's glued together, as a pattern, and we're going to draw around it on a piece of wood and then cut that out. Easy. Okay, so I've got my centre core for the rudder placed over the 1/4 inch sheet that we need to cut. Got it all nicely lined up, and we're just gonna draw a line around it. Exactly like that. Now this sheet is a little bit short, but we should be okay. Yeah, it's a minuscule little bit too short, but we'll see how it goes. We can probably just put a bit of scrap in there to sort the little bit that's missing out. So there it is. There is our line. Now we've got to make two of those. Now, as you can see the grain in the wood, hopefully, and the grain is running like that, and that is how they show it in the drawing. You can see there's vertical grain there. So I'm going to cut this out and then do exactly the same again for the second side. So this is 1/4 inch sheet. There's only one sheet of 1/4 inch in the wood pack, so I'm hoping that we're doing the right thing here by using this. I don't know about you, but I'm always paranoid about using the sheet wood in the kits and stuff, because I always think I'm going to run out. Right, I'm going to get this cut out. I'm going to use the vibrating fret saw to cut that out. So there it is. There's one cut out. All lovely jubbly. Now, I don't know if you can see it, but I've just had to tack on, if we'll see it in the light, right across there, just a little bit, because the sheet was too short. Just see it there. But I cut that out of a little bit of scrap, stuck it on. So I'm going to make another one of these now, and then we'll move on to the next bit. Right, so next up, after making these two parts, I'll have a look at the drawing again. There's this strip of wood down here, 2 from 1/16 sheets, it says there. So as you can see, it's a slight curve. So what we can do again is use this centre core as a template, and then we can basically just cut 2 bits of 1/16 wood into that curve shape, rather than having a strip that's made out of 1/16 balsa and trying to curve it round. We'll actually cut it curved. So I'm going to grab some balsa sheet and we'll get that done as well. So got a big bumblebee buzzing around here now. He's gone. There we go. There is one of those strips, which is, if I bring the plan in again, this here. Now, like I said, I'm always paranoid about using wood in the kit that might be needed for something else. So, to make these, I used what we called in the trade a bit of gash. Now, on all these laser cut sheets, there's spare balsa, spare bits of balsa, and you can use them. You know, if you can use those, use them rather than cutting bits out of your full sheets that you've got that you might need later on. And you can see here, I cut it out of there. So there's enough room there to make a second one of these. So that's what I'm going to do. See, there you go. That's what I cut it out of. So we've already got that one curve there. Like I said, I used this as the template again. So whichever way round it was, there it is. That's roughly the way round it was, I think. Or maybe it was up there, but it was somewhere there. And basically, you know, you lay this over, either draw a line or straight away cut around it, offset it by the thickness of this. So move it back like that, second cut, and there you go, that's what you get. So I'm going to make the second one of these, and then we'll see where we are. Hopefully the rest of the bits, or most of the rest of the bits, are already laser cut for us, but we'll find out in a minute. Anyway, I'm going to cut the second one of these out. Like I said, if you can use spare bits of wood that you've got already, use it. Okay, we're nipping along. So the next thing to find is these ribs here. Now these are already laser cut for you. They're basically bits of triangle. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 on each side. That's 8 in total. And they are on a couple of the sheets here. So you can see there it says Rudder ribs, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's half of them. Don't confuse it with these ones, which are for the elevator. So there's 4 there. And then onto this other sheet, there's 4 more here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we need to cut those out. And then we'll be getting pretty close to building a rudder. There's a couple more bits to find after this, but we'll get these done first. So we have the rudder ribs cut out from the sheet there, and there's 4 pairs, and they are going to get glued onto the rudder. Now, when you cut out stuff from laser cutting, you're always going to get little pips. See them there? And there. Now, you want to just sand them off. Make sure they're nice and smooth, because otherwise when you come to glue it down, that pip is going to hold the piece off and it's not going to glue properly. So always good to show all your parts the sanding block. So I'm just going to give these a light sand over, and then we'll look for the final part. Here are all the parts to make up the rudder. Now some of the laser cut parts aren't exactly right, and I think it's basically, remember this is from 1971, there was no laser cutting back in the day, and where this has been converted to some laser cut parts, I think probably the draftsman doing it sort of slightly misunderstood what was going on. So I had to remake a couple of the parts, which is these here. Now here's the original, and here is the one that it should be. Now this is the bottom rib, which is here, and the way this bottom rib actually glues on, it will glue on so that it makes a groove in the middle of the rudder to accept this rudder arm, shall we call it, that's here. And so the thing just needs to be a slightly different shape and size. Here, if you can compare it to what's on the drawing, you can see this is thinner than what's actually required anyway. So yeah, that's just no good. But you know, so what? You know, this kit is, well, it's not a kit, sorry, this plan pack, you know, is designed for what they call a master builder. Somebody that's actually got some skills, knows how to understand the things and fix problems. It's not going to be perfect. The finished product will be. So, yeah, I've made up all the parts. Enough about lecturing. Let's glue some of that together and see what we come up with. But it's looking nice so far. And this rudder would have taken me all afternoon to do, but it's worthwhile. So I'm going to mark the position of these ribs onto the rudder. Now I don't need to mark the position of that one because it lines up with the slot basically, same as this one here. So it's only these two I need to know the position of. So what I've done, drawn some lines. So now you've drawn some lines where the ribs are going to go, it's quite easy to then lay the part over like that, put your ruler on there, line up with those lines that you've put that are outside the part, and just draw across just like that. There is your mark for where your rib goes. Simple. Right, I'm going to get on with gluing some of these parts on. Right. Oh beep, I've made a mistake. This doesn't happen very often. What? Right. I glued on this piece of wood that runs down the front here, which is, we grab the drawing, there, it's this piece that runs down here, shown here. Now this is actually quite seriously tapered, but the shape of it isn't really shown on the drawing. All they show is the stern post. Now the stern post is this bit here on the fin, not the bit on the rudder, but obviously, duh, the rudder follows the same shape as that part. And that's a part, well, this part here you have to make yourself out of quarter sheet. So I had to cut it all off. That was hard to say. I had to cut it off. Yeah. So what I actually need to make, and when you're making one of these, what you need is 2 bits of a balsa, a quarter wide, and half of this. So if you drew a line down there, let me get a ruler. I've got to draw it. So where's the centre? Roughly there. Roughly there. You've got to make two of these halves, basically, minus a 32th of an inch, because you've got the bit of wood that's going to go in the middle, which is this bit here. So yeah, so I've got to make 2 of those and go back to where I was half an hour ago. Right, we're sort of back on track. That is the part you need to make. And it's also a good idea to round it off before you stick it on, as it makes it easier. And so that has got to stick basically on there. So I'm going to get on with that and concentrate on building rather than making video. So there is the basics of a rudder, finally. 2 step forward, 1 back today. It's taken me all day to make that. So, yeah, pretty good. Obviously it needs sanding and all that kind of stuff. This all needs shaping at the top here, etc, etc. But yeah, I mean, it's good enough, and good enough is what it's all about. So yeah, that's what we obviously made. There it is, and the plan, and there is the basics of it. So that is the end of part 1. So don't forget, if you're interested in plan packs and things like that, or you want to have a go at a plan pack, make sure you choose an easy one, not something like the Chipmunk, which is yeah, way up there in its skill building ability, as I proved today. So yeah, have a look at Sarik Hobbies. They got loads of stuff on there, loads of plans. They've got boats and trains and stuff like that as well. And that's it. So I'll see you all in part 2, hopefully tomorrow. Hopefully we will have an earlier start. This was only a half day today. Yeah, early start would be good. I'm still waiting for loads of bits to come in, so we'll have to see how it goes. See you all tomorrow. Bye.
Thank you for watching Captain Rob's RC Model Geeks. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to click that like button. If you want to see more of the same type of videos, don't forget you can subscribe. If you want to support us, you can use PayPal, paypal.me/RC Model Geeks. If you want to contact us, you can email us rcmodelgeeks@gmail.com. We look forward to seeing you in the next video.